Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Torchlight. So, I looked at the achievements and man, I'm frankly on the verge of losing my mind here. There are 50 levels and there are 100 levels of character that you can go up to. So, the question is going to come down to what can I do to speed this process up? Because this is not moving fast, to say the least. If I do kind of nothing and continue to play this way, I'll have the grinding down, and through that grinding I'll get my experience up, which clearly if there are 100 levels, we're nowhere close to being maxed out on any of the armor or items or attacks. One would assume if that is not the case, then something very weird has happened here. So there must be some kind of limiting factor that will maybe storyline wise is limiting what we can pick up or not pick up. Doing these special portals, if we were to not do them at all, I don't know what you do at that point that would fix that. Like, I don't think that's a smart move to not do these, because I don't think that these special portals would just wait till the end of the game, in which you would have a kind of this extra game content. So it really would come down to making a really hard decision to say, look, I'm just gonna forget this extra portals and instead focus solely on the single player gameplay. And honestly, I'm not sure if this isn't exactly what I did. Ooh. You guys are really hurting me. And the dog's heal ability did not kick in fast enough. And these goblins seem to have some kind of rage-inducing ability. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if by this point, the first time I played, I just said forget these special portals because they're too slow. Also, I listened to the audio. The audio is rather loud in these recordings, but it also is not accounting for the massive amount of clicking. So yeah, I do know my mouse is clicking like crazy, and that is getting picked up in the microphone. I don't have a really good way of fixing that, short of like shrouding my hand in some kind of cloth or inside a soundproof type box.
My health is low.
Which, oops, man, I'm gonna die. I just drank a mana potion. And it would just be so constricting to do that. To have some sort of alcove section that I was using to quiet it. That's why I'm much more around playing with controllers. Is like, controllers these days are not clicky. They're not loud and annoying. And ooh, I actually died. So lose fame. So we actually get to see this. Resurrect here. Lose 207 gold. Resurrect in town and lose nothing. Is it really worth it to go through a load screen for 207 gold? Not really. Uh, so you can kind of see that's different by far as the options that you could go through in Diablo 1. I think in Diablo 1, if you die, you either have to load from a save file wherever you saved, which is definitely not what's being encouraged to be done in this experience. I wonder if it's the silence spell that the dog is doing that is causing this enrage style actions. It would be weird for something to be glowing red because it was silenced. And I think that's the spells we have on the dog. We should probably look. Let's just click in a general direction. See, it helps you pick up the gold. Although then it becomes kind of questionable, why does it not just have the dog pick up the gold? Well, while it's at it. Alright, let's see. Silence 5, Heal All. Those are the only two spells. So it does seem like when this is casting Silence 5, is putting a reddish hue around minions. That's a weird way to animate a silence casting spell. Of those three options, lose a bunch of fame and experience by far is the worst option. There, you would be a fool to do that unless you were at the like level 100 and max fame already and it no longer mattered. I guess at that point, though, you would have had to play the game so much that there's a really strange credibility that you would get to that level to have all the skills at level 10 and all the fame you would ever need because of that. We're actually playing now like a Diablo game. I'm actually having to keep my eye on the health, and at that point it actually starts to make sense that the health and mana orbs are in the middle of the screen, whereas up until this point that has been frivolous, unnecessary actions because I really didn't need to keep an eye on any of that.
A trap has been sprung.
I think I probably am not circling around to where I died the first time, which that's what I was trying to do, but it seems like maybe there was a dead end to that direction. There's weirdness here, because if we really do just lock into a position where I've got as much experience gain improved as possible, and there's as much magic drop item as possible set up, then it becomes a weird experience where I kind of don't need to play the game anymore. Like, if you've just maxed everything else out and it's just going to be more of the same, that's a problem. That's a problem in any game. They should spice some things up, and I'm gonna have to run around this entire map There's so much not connecting in this level. So yeah, we need major changes to happen. Alright. So I'm gonna have to make a major detour, just running back where I was. This will be an interesting example, I guess, of areas and sections we missed. There's a cursed sword. I think that's the first one of those we've ever seen. These extra hard area quests might be making it so that the main story is easier. We are still playing on easy, and it's always important to point that out, but it could be a case where if I just waited for a later point to do this, these side things, I would potentially have... Is there something there to pick up? Yeah, there's almost certainly something everywhere to pick up. Me being consistent on any of this item drop stuff is less and less likely to happen. Yeah. You can see there's things I'm missing, and the dead bodies really don't ever disappear. This might be one of the benefits slash problems of playing a modern, a 10-year-old game on a modern PC, though, is that there's just plenty of RAM for any of this to happen. Okay.
I'm overburdened.
So, yep. Of course, if you're not grinding, then you're not increasing your chances to find things that you need. You're not making money, and then if you're not making money, you can't gamble for a unique item or enchant, which are two major factors that you do need to still play a part in. Let's see. Right now we have this is a rare rifle called that is a special item, so we have to hold on to that. It's part of the Black Fist attire. Here is a platinum ring, which we're starting to see platinum rings. And we still really haven't found anything that would increase our experience gain. So until I can find some piece of armor that would increase our experience gain, I'm forever going to be stuck. Then we have these grand mana potions, which makes me suspect that we are actually starting to run into not even using the regular health potions and such. I wish there was a way that I could have curated and sorted all of that stuff. The dog's getting hit a lot. His health is down to half. So if I stop for a second, I think that probably does trigger him to do the heal all spell. And then I'm not sure how long the cooldown on the heal all spell is, but it's probably about 30 seconds, so by the time he comes back around, let's stop for a second, see if he can do it yet, because he should do heal all and heal himself. Even there it is, and that's still not full healing. So for as often and as annoying as it may be to hear the sound effects of that, and I still fully believe they should have turned off the sound effects on both of his spells, that's an easy mod that somebody should make if it hasn't been made by already. Is there anything over here?
A trap has been sprung.
Just gold. So the question will come down to how much more of this is there. Alright, so gaining a level will allow us to potentially dump some stuff into strength. I think understanding that there's 100 levels changes our perspective there. Yeah. Because we've had things that have needed strength for a while. If I get this up to 100, I don't think that stops it. I think if there is any maximum here, it's somewhere closer to 255, which would be 2 to the power of 8 bits. 0 through 255 is 256 numbers. So yeah, strength is all we're gonna do. Honestly, getting everything up to about 35, both strength and magic, makes decent sense. And then treasure drop, and keep on using that to increase our item drops. It's basically a requirement now because we've painted ourselves in this corner where our items are, relatively speaking, so good that if we don't increase the quality of items drops, the odds of us just getting a random lucky drop is so low it will just never happen, or not in a reasonable amount of time happen. Which does boil it back to the idea that if you were going to try to do this in a modern experience, every item should be important. Like, that it really shouldn't be randomized at all. Everything should feel really impactful, and even if you were doing the same amount of... Ooh, this guy's got ricochet. Even if you were doing the same amount of killing and grinding here, I would just expect that only the yellow named characters dropped any kind of armor, and everything else was gold, and then you just maybe have some salesmen in case you need to buy some basic armor. I would really boil it down to, yeah, there's unique armor and there's basic armor and there's nothing else. In other styles of gameplay, you certainly see that, although a lot of other styles of gameplay go the exact opposite direction and add a bunch of items. But you can see how, like Metroid and Metroidvania games, every item you collect is important. Those are effectively drops. They are just very specifically placed, based behind usually defeating a boss, and not in any way really designed to ever be upgraded or replaced unless there's a special boss that drops a very special upgrade. Like, once you get the wave beam in a Metroid game, you've got the wave beam. It might be something you get later that's stronger, but you don't get a level 1 wave beam early into a Metroid game and then get a level 2 wave beam later, and that slightly does more damage. It really is kind of a shift, I'm about to die again, between where do you want your workers to focus their creativity. Do you want to have a team that's wasting their days effectively just making the same hammer over and over again, or the same sword over and over again. Or would you prefer that they were creating something new and unique and it would be more interesting? I would say Borderlands as a series tried really hard to give personality to their guns, even though they're randomly generated. They did that by having several different styles of companies that had several different styles of guns. So if you bought a Torg gun, you kind of knew what a Torg gun would always do, even though the stats and the numbers were randomized. These guys are still major heavy hitters. You're gonna need some level of falling action, I think, in the main story after fighting these guys. Because they're so armored and they're such heavy hitters. You would want to then balance this out to maybe a swarming, weaker group of enemies after that. Faster moving enemies. I'm definitely not one-hit killing these guys like I was in the main game. It would be a really hard decision to forgo doing these sections, because these are the sections that are giving the real challenge. Like, if anything, you'd want to forego doing the main story, and that doesn't make a lot of sense because I can't really end a playthrough here legitimately if I don't finish the main story. And yeah, unless the main story does end at a level 50 and there's just 50 more, well, it ends at 25 and then there's just 25 more levels after that. Yeah, I don't know how you don't go the full 50 floors. Wish there was a way you could attack treasure chests, but I guess I'm okay with it not letting you do that. But it's kind of obvious when a mimic is a mimic, because they're at weird angles or they're slightly bigger in size. Just kind of hoping this level area would be smaller. And this has been a very wide open area section that's almost certainly going to feel repeated when we do the main story. It's almost like these portals were supposed to be different dimensions of the main levels, but then they programmed them so that you could do these first, and that doesn't make any sense. Like, really it doesn't. Like, we should be doing a portal of the previous area, if anything. Let's see. I think I'm going through my health potions, and I think my silencing ability is not doing anything.
I can't carry anymore.
Inventory time again. I have like one more of these, and then we're drinking great health potions. That doesn't make any sense. Alright. So, nothing there, there. 49 armor, but nothing else there. 54 armor. Nope.
I'm overburdened.
Alright, so you're
Your pet
off
has
to the
departed.
store. Meanwhile, we'll just move things around. Yeah, I'm not in a good position. Is there anything else to look at? Right. Here we have Magus's abstruse shoulders, which the comparison here is hard. Do either one of these increase our experience gain? Well, when I have the Magnus shoulders, I think if I had 2 pieces of the Magnus set, would allow for increased magic find. But what I have right now is slightly better, so I kind of have to hold on to it, but we're again, like, if I had a couple of pieces of the Magnus Trove, then it would make sense. Put that there. The thing though is doing these portals and such don't seem like they give you the same named characters or the same item sets enough. Doesn't seem like you're gonna get a full set in one playthrough, or perhaps at the very end of one playthrough you might have a full set, but at the very end of one full playthrough you then would have no use for it. So yeah, that doesn't make the best amount of sense. Not worth it to run after 3 gold. Alright. Let's go over here and see where this goes. This is a shrine of enchantment, and this I assume is a shrine of mana. Now in Diablo there is a shrine of experience, or just wells in general, and you could drink through wells and use the wells to increase your health. No, you increase your experience gain. Alright, so the question would be, what do I want to enchant? Or what is the best thing to enchant? Probably the Attentive Scale Clasp, or the Dragon Scale Mount item, or our weapon. Our weapon could be enchanted pretty easily. Let's see. This weapon probably is going to last for a while, whereas enchanting a ring or enchanting a necklace or anything like that would be iffy at best. So, cost 0, random effect to disenchant. So, if this was to disenchant, it would take out the 83 physical damage.
Fortune smiles on you.
Okay, so it just got a new socket. Alright, so we'll think about putting a new socket into it to do more damage. Probably not more fire damage, but maybe some ice damage, or lightning damage, or poison damage. Yeah, the enchantment wells, not super useful. The problem with them is that they still have a random chance to disenchant whatever that random percentage is, which could, one assumes that it's a low percentage, that you're not going to run up to one well that has a 100% chance of actually going off and removing enchantments. That's really another point where it breaks down, and there was a point there where you could have easily had the game control the outcome for a positive experience for the gameplay, and they didn't even bother to do it in that instance. Like, it doesn't really need to be all random just for randomness sake. Yeah, and it's taking about 30 minutes every time. Every time we do any floor, they're getting longer and longer. So you kind of either are in the groove at this point, or you're burning out at this point.
My health is low.
I'm out of potions. I'm gonna die because I can't get to the inventory fast enough. Like I'm pressing 1 and it's not doing anything because, like, here's what I have to do. I have to go through the loading, and I'm gonna have to set up. Thanks for the heal all, but too little too late. I'm gonna have to set this up to use grand health potions, which is all I've got. And I guess they work, but my health certainly doesn't really justify using all of that. If they are only gonna drop grand health potions, though, that stops a lot of transmuting, so the game, I guess, solves that problem. Now we're no longer gonna have to transmute potions up to their maximum. We will just be collecting them and using them. Little electric bots. It's an interesting idea for a dwarven area. They've got some interesting character designs, to say the least. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like you spend too much time with it. I suppose I could have just let myself die, and then I would have gotten free health that way, too. We're just gonna walk around in circles, taking out these last group of people, I think. And that'll be the end of this this area. I don't think anything more, unless there's just a boss that's floating around that I was supposed to fight and I missed him. Yeah, I think the game probably should do the things it's doing the way it's doing it. It would be more linear and easier for a new player if it just said you have to go down to level 50 of the mines and you have no other quests to do. Of course, that would also potentially get you reviewed poorly by most big video game journalists who don't want to actually play the game that much. Like, I could easily see, not even just journalists, but people who have bought this game and not being enthralled with having to do the same thing over and over again. So it is the right move to vary things up and have different portals that take you to different places, even if the change is insignificantly small, which it really is, just an insignificantly small difference. Let's see. Nope. 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 No. 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 And here we are. That's our health potions. Going forward, it probably means our mana potions should also just be sold. And this should be changed to this. So yeah, I'm gonna put those items there. And yeah. Back to gameplay. I gotta figure out a way of speeding this up. This would be a great game, particularly on the second playthrough, which is what I'm doing, for for a mod to just double your experience and fame. Like, just doubling it would solve a lot of problems. And I don't know of anybody that actually has ever legitimately tried to just overclock a game so it runs twice as fast, but in this case it probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Like, just making it so everything moved twice as fast. That's something that I've learned over the past year as far as watching YouTube videos, is that as I went deeper down the well of watching YouTube videos, it was taking more and more time, and now I'm at a point where it's not there's not enough hours in the day to watch everything unless I put it on double playback speed, and that works pretty well even for my own YouTube videos, quite frankly. If you play it back at double speed, you'll if you are a fast enough person, it sounds better and takes less time, and you can still understand what's being said.
Hi there.
Okay. So that quest is done. And that means we should go over here and talk to this guy. Let's identify this ring, identify this, and identify this. Okay. I don't want to really sell anything quite yet. I don't want to move so fast here that I accidentally make a mistake too. Right. Now we're looking to see if there's any weapons that are part of any kind of set. I wish there was a different highlight around this. It would have been easy to have a glow or a flashing or flickering happening around any item that was of any import, but it's not there. Let's see. And I think we're probably in the clear. We're at 12,000. I probably shouldn't have sold those, and instead I should have transmuted them, but whatever.
It's not a scat.
Okay. So then we have Black Fist attire, which I don't think anything else we have Oh wait, this is breakfast attire, so we could wear this and this, and we would have two pieces going. And then we have Magnus Trove. Is this Magnus Trove? No. So no, this is just something different. So yet another set. We're really getting down to the point where it doesn't make sense or work to try and keep on owning all these things. Go ahead and buy that. What do we have right now? Summon Zombies 1. I kind of would want the spells to drop, but I don't think they do. Ever. And almost certainly there is some kind of unique wand that she sells at some point, but I've not been paying enough attention. We'll take all of the blues because it seems like the blues will work their way up. Meanwhile, we have a 358 weapon that I don't think has anything, so we could probably sell that. Yeah, there's no reason to hold on to that anymore. And we could wear this, which this armor doesn't increase experience, or we could wear this, which is a 2% increased armor experience, with the caveat of being only 20 armor. Do I really want to do that drop? Which armor do I actually have on? I have Ryoba's corset, which gives 2% experience. I can now wear this. Do I really want to wear this though? Because this is the problem, is I'd like to have the increased armor, but without the increased experience it's ridiculous for both cases. So I think both of these pieces of armor need to be sold. Do I want to just hold on to super health potions? Instead of, like, we're in this weird position. We skipped right over super health potions. Like, we're already to the grand health potions. How did that happen? It did somehow, but I don't know how. And then we have a cracked core ember. Let's see. Cut core ember, dull core ember. I think a cracked core ember actually doesn't line up. Okay. So, chance to enchant 8%. It's gonna cost 3,000.
Fortune is kind to you. Goodbye.
Let's see. Faster movement.
Good day.
Chance to enchant 4,000.
You are unlucky.
Shoo! Off with you.
Chance to disenchant 10%. Another 4,000.
Fortune is kind to you.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's what we're just gonna have to. We're gonna keep on trying to enchant this until it does something. But this other one, I think we can sell pretty easily. So sell that and sell that.
Hail!
And let's see. cold ember, cracked cold ember with another cracked cold ember should make a dull cold ember. A dull cold ember with a dull cold ember should make a discolored cold ember. A discolored cold ember and discolored ember makes a cold ember. A cold ember and a cold ember transmutes into a cut cold ember, which does 16 ice damage, and with this new enchantment works nicely to do some more damage. Meanwhile, just more of this garbage.
Fortune is kind to you. Fortune is kind to you.
It's weird
Fortune
that we can't transmute any higher, and yet there's way more levels, and there's way more that can be done. So I don't know what's gonna trigger that would go beyond the grand mana potion, or if there's perhaps some kind of spell skills I need to use. It might be a case that I actually do just need skills, like
Good journey.
like that really might be what it boils down to, is my potion efficiency, for whatever you want to call it, needs to increase. I'm gonna hold on to that. And I'm gonna look at our quest, just make sure everything is incomplete still, and get back to the main game. Yeah. It's so weird to think that there's a lot more here. This will be interesting. Do I go downward or do I go upward? Now, I don't think the dog will cast a spell. I'm going upward now, remember? I don't think he'll cast a heal spell if nobody is actually injured. But he definitely will cast a heal spell if somebody is only slightly injured. Like, he doesn't save it for a later date. Back to the main game. We are one-hit killing these characters. So all that struggle and challenge of doing the side quest does kind of show that the side quest shouldn't happen. And yeah, we are picking up the super health potions again. So it was only in that area. Well, in all honesty, by the time I need to use a health potion, I'll probably be better just using the grand health potions anyways. I need some more spells for crowd control. I miss the summoned skeletons. Definitely, I would in a second replace the dog's summon silence spell with the summon skeleton spell. And we are going to hit a point where we're going to hit a point where I'm going to start throwing points into the skills that increase offensive spells. I don't think that there's a lot of reason to try and increase defensive spells while the dog is doing heal all. He's never fast enough to offset getting smacked in the face constantly. I know we covered some distance of this floor, but I'm not 100% sure how much. And every time, because of the randomness of how this is all set up, every time I trigger one of these ballistas, I think is what they're called. Maybe Bastilla? Big crossbows, we'll call it. Every time I trigger one of them, there's barely one person at most in front of it. Whereas if you had just hard-coded an area, setting off a trap would always do some massive damage and be a helpful way to play a little bit stealthily without actually introducing major elements of stealth gameplay into the game. This guy's ability to ricochet bullets is interesting. I don't know if it's a cool little experiment, not something that I think we really saw. 10 years ago, programming something to ricochet probably was slightly CPU intensive, so I wouldn't be surprised if even a few bounces off a wall was all it could really handle. A PC from that time frame or a console from that time frame could handle. Nowadays, I've got a 2080 RTX that does ray tracing, effectively ricocheting rays of lights and sampling lots of them. So there's been major improvements as far as the geometry, mathematics that can be done in games. That being said, ray tracing so far, I've seen one game that actually implements it, and they implemented it, in my opinion, kind of badly. And feels like they would have done better spending their focus making the game better first and not showing off ray tracing. But yeah, give it a generation, it'll be the new standard. And it does fix reflections, which reflections have been long since faked and very difficult to do. Transparent reflections through like a pane of glass, or full reflections through like a mirror, often faked or non-existent. Did I get everything? When you look at a game like Destiny, or when I personally look at a game like Destiny, or I forget the other Sam Fisher site, loosely related on the Sam Fisher story loot group game as service that's out. But Destiny is a great example. It's hard for me to ever want to play a game like Destiny because I've already played something like this before, and it's really something that I've long since just gotten out of my system. The idea that in 2019 or 2020 you would want to go through all this grinding, it is silly. It's just way too much loot and way too much repetition. Almost certainly I'm not going to get any items. I guess I'm gonna continue to hold on to these and convert them. I thought for a second there we might be out of the transmutation game as far as all of that, but that clearly was asking too much. Let's go ahead and just sell everything. We'll take that, we'll take that, and then we'll sell everything else we've got. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna be able to have any kind of item that would be useful. It totally feels like an imbalance here. It feels like we overpowered ourselves and overleveled ourselves on one section through the portals, and now we're just breezing through the main levels, and that's been pretty consistent. So it's weird that the game is almost taking this attitude that we expected you not to play our game. We expected you not to be an OCD collector style of game player, which is the wrong assumption to make for when making a Diablo-esque game. Assume that anybody who plays a Diablo-esque game or a loot-based game in general is at least on the early entry way of being committed for OCD. I'm terrible about it often. It's not great. And I have to often remind myself or just be aware of it and say, hey, let's not waste an extra 5 minutes looking around an area, making sure we're grabbing everything. And in a loot game like this, the importance of getting any individual piece of loot is actually extremely low, so you can totally miss things. Why am I gaining HP from the zombies? That's weird. Even with a single hit kill, this still isn't doing enough. See, that named character was nothing. Everything is just going to be easier. We're getting back into an area that looks very similar to a previous area. I would imagine what it is that the boss fight areas are kind of hand-coded and everything else is allowed to be a little bit randomized. But I don't even believe that it's fully randomized. I wish there was more scrolls and that there was a way to hold scrolls in a separate setup. In Diablo, I believe you need a spell book to learn any spells, and you have to actually hold the spell book as an item. But then that allows for them to have character classes that don't make sense that they would know spells or would have spells, and then have character classes that totally make sense that they would know spells. So a mage would start with a spell book, whereas a barbarian would totally not have a spell book, and you'd have to purchase it if you wanted it.
You have triggered a trap.
You could, with scrolls, have a similar setup where there's just a section of your inventory set to different kinds of spells and different kinds of scrolls. Clearly, you're not pushing the player to try any new spells when they have to learn it, and they have a limited number of places that they can learn it, 4 slots, even as a mage, and then they would have to try it by casting it. Frankly, you could have a random cast, like just cast a random spell button equipped by at the start of the game, and then it would cast whatever scrolls you have. It would bring magic into the fighting a lot more for a lot of people's play styles, which I'm using the summon zombie spell relatively frequently, but I'm still not really using spells as much as a mage probably should. And so then that breaks down the mage character as being nothing more than a character that happens to use wands.
My pack is full.
Alright.
Your pet has departed.
Oops. That is not the button I meant to click. Well, while we're waiting for him to come back, we have a spell here that would be Silence 3 or Summon Skeletons 3 versus Summon Zombies 1. Summon the Skeletal Warrior to attack your foes versus summon a pack of uncontrollable zombies to attack your foes. This was level 2. I mean, I guess we could try it, but then, wait a minute. The last time I unlearned anything, I unlearned a lot. So let's unlearn that, and then drag that
Your
there.
pet has returned.
Alright. Summon Zombies is now 3. Summon Skeleton 3 is now 4. It's the same logo. That is bad. I just meant to toss items over his way, and that's all I was trying to do. Or apparently sell some town portal scrolls and identify scrolls. The fact that we kind of know we're nowhere close to the end changes the need to hold on to things quite a bit also, because any kind of item, any kind of armor, any kind of weapon, anything along that line, it's all going to be replaced by the time we're done, if there are 25 more levels. So the one thing I guess I can do to speed up the process is we can stop the evaluations at the end, or at least speed them up. We know we've got quests, so like just going through all of this, if I'm going to go through all of this, I need to be really quick and just say, okay, here, pause now if you want to read the character stats. Here, pause now if you want to see the lore skills, pause now if you want to see the arcane skills, pause now if you want to see the battle skills. They really haven't changed any. Like, pause now if you want to read the journal. Quests, you can see we have 3 quests, as we always have 3 quests. But yeah, instead of spending an extra 5 minutes going through everything and trying to have a deep understanding of where we are, which we really don't, because there's still a lot of hidden numbers and metrics in most games, including this one, that aren't being shown. So yeah, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to further follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.